Good morning, everybody. It's Jane from Chalk Mercantile and Surface Anthology. Hope you guys are great today. I wanted to pop on and talk to you about paints because I get a lot of questions about the paint that I carry. I am looking for a line, and I'll tell you why in a second, and what they're good for. What do I use them for? Why don't I just carry one kind of paint? Why don't I make my own paint? All of that. So paint, like makeup, like food, is a really, really personal preference. And I am all about the texture of the paint. What I can't stand when I go out thrifting and antiquing is when you see those pieces that were painted in the 80s, not early 90s, with that like latex wall paint, and it's just not my thing. So that kind of led me. I still love painted furniture, love oil painted furniture, but I don't use it because of all the cleaning and the ways you have to, get rid of it and all of that. I think they're all being canceled out anyway because of the environmental issues. So I discovered chalk paint, and chalk paint has been around, chalk paint and milk paint. Chalk paint has been around for thousands of years. It wasn't created 25 years ago. It's been around for thousands of years. Somebody just decided to trademark the phrase. So like oil paint, like lime paint, milk paint, it's been around forever. And there's all different kinds of chalk paint. And what I want to tell you quickly is I use two different kinds. I use what I have as a stockist is the Amy Howard at Home one-step paint. This is a chalk-based paint, but it has a top coat built in it. I used to carry a paint called Versante by Authentico that had a top coat built into it also. So I'm really familiar with using those. If you go to my blog, you'll see projects I've done. I've painted stair runners in my house. My bathroom vanity is painted in Versante. And Amy Howard at Home one-step paint replaces that. The pure chalk paint with no top coat that I'm using right now, I don't sell it anymore. I used to be the distributor and I'm not, is Authentico Vintage, which is a really beautiful chalk paint. And the reason I carry two different kinds is they have two different purposes. The pure chalk paint with no top coat, you can manipulate, you can wet distress, you can do all kinds of things. You can kind of sort of do that with the Amy Howard at Home, but you're pushing it. And my philosophy is, I'm a lover, not a fighter. It's like whatever that paint line is meant to do, I'm right there with it. So the one step, again, with the built-in top coat is great for glazing. It's great for a base for milk paint. Wonderful. The vintage and soon to be other line that I'll be bringing in, I just have to pick one. I'm comparing them all now. Go further than that with the wet distressing, the kind of washes I like to do, and manipulating those paints. And I actually did a test, you guys. So I want to show you. I can't find the other one, unfortunately. But here's a little tin bucket that I painted in the one-step paint. And look at that beautiful stamp. That is one of the Iron Orchid stamps. And I dipped the stamp in ink, and I painted another bucket. This is the test I did in the vintage. So that's a chalk paint with no top coat. And I stamped them both with Iron Orchid ink. And the vintage, because it doesn't have a top coat, absorbed that ink, and I got a crisp, beautiful, tight image, stamp. And the one-step paint, I got a little bit of a variation in the ink, and you could see it wasn't absorbed. It looks really pretty. It also took over 24 hours to dry because again, it didn't absorb because it's made not to absorb. It's made to give you that top coat that your fingerprints won't get into, and you know, it's all built in there. So that's the advantage. But as you can see, it didn't react the same way as the vintage or a pure chalk paint. I love them both. I use them both. They react differently. And now to bring in a real wild card, we have milk paint, which I love, 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 and use all the time. This can really be manipulated also. It doesn't have a built-in top coat. It's all natural, and it could be used as a stain. So can the other ones, but not like the milk paint. So that's a third paint that I use. When I'm planning a project, I say to myself, what's the final look I'm going for? Sometimes I don't commit, and then I pick a paint line that I want to use for that. Somebody asked me how I store my paint. Here you go. I use and these first in, first out FIFO bottles, and these are fabulous because no matter what paint line you get, the metal tops start to rust. So I just dump my paint in these and I just put a little label on and they are good to go. So I wanted to go over that just really quickly because I got asked a lot of questions about that and I wanted to answer that. And if you're in my Surface Anthology membership, you'll hear me talking about that a lot because you have to think about that. If you're working with transfers, stamps, any kind of decorative painting technique, you have got to know what you're working with and what the substrate, what you're painting on, is all about. You still might get some crazy things happening, but you'll have more control over it. So you guys, if you have any questions at all, please ask me down in the comments. And tell me what paint line you use and love and why. If you're interested in the Surface Anthology membership, it's a decorative painting, furniture painting membership. It's $23 a month. Every month we do a big workshop and then we have a mini workshop, Q&A, private Facebook group. All my workshops are recorded, so they're virtual, so you could go in, look at them, stop them, try it out. Hey, Danielle, how are you? Good morning. And you get some other great perks. One of the big ones is 20% off of everything all the time in my Chalk Mercantile shop. So that's a big one because I don't really do sales. And anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Danielle, thank you so much for joining me. I've got to pop off now. I have a call with the other decorative painters in the Painted Cottage. We are the ones who are going to be doing a workshop this Saturday, so make sure you join the Painted Cottage Facebook group so you can participate, watch, be entered in the raffles and all that good stuff. All right, you guys have a great day. Danielle, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Happy painting, everybody.